General Motors executive once said, what's good for America is good for General Motors, and what's good for General Motors is good for America, and vice versa. And it's been one of the most famous phrases ever used, and nothing holds more true than when you look at the classic car market, especially in the third largest market, like here in Chicago. So this is actually used to be a Chrysler dealership that during the recession of 2010 was actually converted into a Corvettes and Classics dealership. So just to show you, here's one hand and here's my other hand. I'm going to show you 70 classic cars and give you a little bit of detail on each one. And as long as you can stick with me, I will prove to you why on my website it says I'm the best car knowledge person ever to live in Chicago. So I did a video, this Chrysler New Yorker. This is a C3100. Now this has been sort of an interesting vehicle. This is a 69 Buick sports wagon, and it's got a 400 cubic inch V8. Now I did find out that the GS is just a logo, but this was still the biggest, longest, widest, and heaviest of the three generations that they made. This is the second generation. So here's a nice, really good look here. And so they do have an abundance. I would say the most abundant types of vehicles are your 80s and early 90s Corvettes. Those are the ones that seem to come in the most frequently, have the most reasonable prices. And like I said, I don't do each individual Corvette unless someone requests it, because that's kind of their bread and butter. So they already sell a lot of Corvettes at this dealership. So what I focus on is like when they get something specific, like this IROC. This is an 89 Camaro IROC Z. So this is a 5.7 liter. This has a vinyl top that comes down. So online they have pictures with the top up, the top down, etc. But this is actually a very nice vehicle. It's not turbocharged, not supercharged, just a naturally aspirated 5.7. I'm not sure if that's when they called it the Vortec, but I had the same engine in a 90s CK 1500. So what we're going to do is show you pretty much all 71 cars that they have on their website. And like I said in the comments below, if you like something that you see here, I'll just tell you the price and the mileage if you would like to know more detailed information. But this is another vehicle that I thought... The manager said the funniest thing is this vehicle uses $10 of gas just starting it up. This is a 7.7 liter V8, and I read on the website it's 472 cubic inches. So a lot of times in my videos, one unique thing I've noticed is if you're old school and I mention liters, people seem to not like that. So it's 472 cubic inches. Maybe because liters is not an American measurement. I would guess that's why they don't like when you do it that way. But this is pretty much the biggest engine I've ever seen on a classic car, 7.7 liters or 472. And this is the original engine. It's not like a bored out engine. So this is a very nice vehicle here. It's got this nice boat tail here. And one show I've been watching a lot of is I've been watching a lot of that Counting Cars with that, Dan the Count. And I started doing the videos right around the same time I found that channel. And I just found it so interesting that I'm sort of seeing these vehicles in the finish stage, where his show is really about the process of acquiring them. Whereas this is a dealership where 50% of the vehicles are probably coming in on trade and they're buying them, and then 50% are on consignment. So this is sort of in that very similar business to what you've seen on the History Channel. When you see these people doing these barn finds and finding these vehicles, when these people drive it to like car shows for like 20 to 30 years, eventually it's time to move on. They've shared some memories and they're looking to, get some of the cash back that they've invested. So it's their weekend fun car, and, sometimes the fun has to come to an end. And this is where this dealership is really helpful. And believe it or not, see this huge car lot here? So when they do summer car shows, we're on the famous Route 66, Ogden Avenue, which goes from Chicago to Santa Monica. It's one of the most famous roads in the country, probably the most famous road. We're only about 25 miles west of downtown Chicago, where like the Bulls and the Bears and the Cubs and the Sox and the Blackhawks play. So if you are in Chicago, yes, you just come directly 25 miles west on the highway and you will see this old Chrysler dealership that has been converted into a classic Corvettes and collectibles store. So as you can see, this was definitely, this entire area used to be a service center here, and now that's just sort of where they detail the cars. But here's another interesting car. I'm guessing this is either a Nova or a Chevelle. It's actually, it looks like it's an Impala. So it's called an Impala Custom. This is a two-door hardtop. And then they have, you know, unique vehicles, like they've got a bunch of Oldsmobile cars. They have this nice Mercedes vehicle here. So like I said, in the comments below, if there's something you're seeing here, I have direct access to their website. You know, so like for example, this Z28, this has actually got around 60,000 miles. And I want to say it's around the $25,000 price range. It could be as low as 22. I'm not 100% sure. So this is kind of, you know, what's called a partial restoration, where this vehicle's not really old enough where it had to have a full restoration, but obviously these wheels and tires are only, I've got about 200 miles on them. So some of these vehicles you don't need to replace, you know, all the components, whereas when you're doing like a 1954 Chevy C3100, like you see past that Buick station wagon there, you know, that requires a full body off restoration. And then you have something like, you know, this 95 E320 that's got an inline six. Now we're located very close to Oakbrook, which is one of like the wealthiest neighborhoods in all of North America, by the Oakbrook shopping mall. And that's where a lot of like famous athletes live. So when you take a car like this in on trade or consignment, is probably needs very little, because these people are doing all the service at their Mercedes dealership, and it's probably inherited by someone, or it's just time to move on. And this car has probably never been kept outdoors, you know. So that's the advantage of buying a car like this in a nice area like Chicago. You'd think all the cars would be wrecked because of the salt, but because there's so many well-to-do people here, a lot of these cars are never actually driven outside during the harsh conditions. And then some of these vehicles, you know, they come anywhere from like Texas. So here, we're going to go inside and see a 61 Oldsmobile that was taken in on trade by an oil tycoon's son, who inherited it, and then he traded it in. So if you want to stay tuned, in the next video, we're going to show you the indoor showroom.